Hey everyone, this is Mark Treichel with another episode of With Flying Colors. I'm recording this for the podcast and also for the YouTube video, which are 99% the same, other than, of course, there's video. I'm getting incrementally better. You can chuckle at that if you watch this on YouTube. Incrementally better on the video side of things and hope to make some progress coming soon there with some ideas that I have. And the idea for this podcast, it's a short one, but I've got some ideas for where I want to take the show. And they were triggered a little bit by another YouTube video that I watched. I love YouTube. I love podcasts, but I stumbled across this guy who has 5 million subscribers. His name is Rick Beato. He's a musician and a producer, talks about music a lot. And I find his stuff fascinating because I like music. He talks about where the industry has come from, and every industry has their arc in what happens. And this particular episode at the, 11-minute mark of this episode, his episode is called The Real Reason Why Music is Getting Worse. And he tells a story about what music means to him, and it triggered a couple stories that I have. So I used to work at a motel that my uncle owned to get money to drive my car, but mostly to get money to buy used record albums. And there was a place called Orfolk Joke Opus in Minneapolis, and there was one on Penn Avenue in Richfield, and there was the Sound of Music, which, by the way, later became Best Buy, another story. But there were these great places where you could get used record albums, and you could get them for $3, $2. I also had a place that a friend named Renee that I met in college, who introduced me to Tears for Fears, introduced me to this place where this guy bought albums from the record distributors, the not for sale, for promotional, copy only. So they used to stop at this guy's place and sell him the extras, and then he would sell them for $4 new. They were open and they had that stamp on them, but you could leverage your money. I'm all into leveraging things. I'm gonna write that down because I need to make a reference to it. I'm all into leveraging tools. And this tool was a way for me to get exposed to more music, and I spent my money on gas, beer, and music. All right. And anyway, this place, I would get albums, and it was a lot of fun. And it was part of the experience, part of the journey of getting music. And you can see in this picture that Rick Beato has all of his albums lined up, and he's looking at one, and he's got his turntable, and that has a romantic, historical, nostalgic feel to people of my age, people older than me, and people younger than me. The music was an acquisition. You had to take time at work, and you had to take time to go drive, which reminds me of a story when I drove to one of my favorite record places that used to have posters out that you could get for free. There was a Jethro Tull album, and if you know who Jethro Tull is, Ian Anderson, you're instantly going to know what I'm talking about. They had an album that came out after one of their bigger albums called Into the Woods, and it was him dressed as he dressed, historical. I'll just put it that way. Not hysterical, historical. He's sitting on a stump with his legs crossed, and it's quoting the song and this big cardboard thing. And I went up, I said, "Is this free?" Now I drove my bike over there. My sister was a big Jethro Tull fan. I brought that home to her, and she had it up in her room for years and years. I think it eventually got thrown out. But somebody that I worked with at NCUA went to see Jethro Tull, and in the intermission, he went to the bathroom. In the stall next to him, it was the only bathroom in the small venue because Jethro Tull doesn't fill stadiums anymore. Ian Anderson came in. They had a conversation. May or may not have happened next to each other. And he told him the story about me driving and getting that. And Ian Anderson asked my friend, "So what's the young lad doing now?" And he said, "He's running the National Credit Union Administration. He's the executive director of an agency here in the United States," because, of course, Ian's from England. By the way, his daughter, Ian Anderson's daughter, is married to Rick from The Walking Dead. Fun fact. All right, so this episode, if you haven't stopped listening yet because it had nothing to do with credit unions, it's about to pivot. Stay tuned for a minute or two more. So anyway, that's a memory that I have forever. And it was about the journey of going to get the album, about going to get the poster. And in this instance, about going to get the cardboard cutout. All right. So what does all this mean? And what it brings to my mind is the use of artificial intelligence to do things better, to do things smarter. AI is changing the world. It's changing music, which Rick Beato talks a lot about. In this video, he talks about how for $11, $10.99, you can get access to everybody's music on Spotify. There's no effort to the acquisition. There's just the money. So they've made it less of a journey about finding the music. And it's too easy to get. It's too easy to make. He has other episodes, by the way, about, what's happened to all the bands, why bands are not at the top of the lists anymore, and it's only individuals. Just fascinating stuff if you like if you like music. But AI has changed the music, and some of it for good, some of it for bad. AI is going to change the world, some of it for good, some of it for bad. I mentioned earlier, I like to leverage things. AI does that, and I'm trying to learn as much about that arena as I can, and I'm going to be trying to get some guests on the show that talk about AI in credit unions. So stay tuned for that. Lastly, I have one more pivot I want to talk about, or not necessarily a pivot, but I'm looking to do a little bit more collaboration type show on occasion here. And I will get to a little bit more specifics once I get some of the kinks worked out on that. I've got some great solo guests coming up, but I'm looking to do more roundtable. I'll just leave it at that. Some more roundtable type discussions moving forward that will also be on YouTube and video, because I'm embracing the video side of things more. As you have noticed over the last few months, I want to take that. I don't want to turn that up to 11, as they said in Spinal Tap, but I definitely want to turn it up from 4 or 5 to 6, 7, or 8. So that's it. That's pretty much what this short episode is about. Check out Rick Beato if you like music. Stay tuned to this show for what's coming next on future episodes. I like to kind of recreate things once a year. And as we get into the summer and summer happens and people go on vacation, it's a good opportunity for me to rethink things. I'm a little ahead of the curve on that, as it's only early June and they're not out of school here yet on the East Coast. That's a wrap. As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And this is Mark Treichel signing off with flying colors.